Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Today's webinar will be on faith, careers, and compatibility. Today, if you're balancing your career, your culture as a healthcare professional, you've come to the right place if you're looking for a spouse. Because today, BIMA and Personal Match UK have partnered today to bring today's webinar. So if you're searching for a spouse or thinking about it in the future, you've come to the right place. We have Sister Naseem here with her extensive amount of experience. She's the founder of Personal Match UK and Dubai. She has dedicated 25 years of her experience. She looks too young to even have that much experience, mashallah. She started her journey as a matchmaker about 10 years, for 10 years. And for 15 years, she's been doing this professionally. So, mashallah, she does this process through coaching and support, guided by her faith as well. And she's helped more than 4,000 marriages, mashallah. Amazing story. I'll hand over to Coach Naseem now.
Hey, good evening. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for being part of today's webinar. And I hope that you get everything out of it that you want. I would recommend to grab a pen and paper if you can, because as we'll be starting just shortly, it means that you can write down notes. There will be some exercises that we're going to do just so that you can figure out what's important to you as well. So without further ado, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, let's start. So I'm just going to go through the slides one by one and give you advice and support on each section. I'm just going to have a look and see if the chat's coming up, if there's any questions. I'll try and figure that out, I think, when I get a moment, inshallah, and try and where is it? Yeah, I'll try and figure that out where the chat at the moment, the bar's hidden for me at the moment. Yeah. So yeah, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Like I said, we're about to start from single to married. So what's this about and why are you guys here? So as Amina, sister, said, thank you so much for the lovely introduction, is I myself volunteered in the community in Glasgow for about 10 years, so with local masjids and charities. We tried everything from speed events to masjid events to mum and daughter events, like you name it, we tried everything. But what I found was I wasn't getting to know the person who wanted to get married directly themselves. I didn't get to hear what they wanted, what they thought, what their challenges were, and privacy. I wouldn't get to hear any of that. So when I put this program together, I realized the coaching aspect and the premarital aspect was very important. So it's kind of grown and almost set into a step-by-step process now that it's been tested and measured so many times. And with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so many people, over 4,000 people have got married through us now. So we kind of have a well-oiled machine, if you like. So yeah, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, just a little bit about me. So starting out in Scotland, expanded to London. Personal Match UK has been running for 15 years. We've been in Dubai for the last 6 months, mashallah. So I'm back in Glasgow next week. So I've been here 6 months. So a little bit about like the images you see. So started off my coaching back in 2015. With the grace of Allah, we won the Scottish Business Awards. And then I was recognised here at the Royal Gala in Dubai as well, with my wee sash and all of that. So that was quite nice just to be invited and welcomed to Dubai as well. Okay, so the right person isn't found by swiping endlessly. It starts with knowing what you really need. So what I'd like you to do is in your pen and paper there, if you put 2 columns, a need column and a want column, and just take a couple of minutes to write down what you think you need and what you think you want. So 3 things that you need, 3 things that you want. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. And I'm not maybe, because obviously I can't speak to anyone, so it'd be really good if you could jump in on like what you think a need is and what you think a want is. It'd be quite interesting to hear your thoughts.
No worries. I won't be doing it with you, but um, yeah, definitely we can start thinking about that. So feel free to start sharing things in the chat as well. I have access to the chat, so I can share that with you, Sister Naseem.
Okay, let me see if I can see anything there. Oh, there's some chats there, so let's have a look. Okay, no questions as of yet, just how long we're going to be running for. So yeah, okay. So yeah, guys, obviously, you can hear me, but I can't hear you. So kind of top things that you need, I can give you some recommendations, would be someone reliable, respectful, responsible, let's say. And you could have wants as in you want to be attracted, you want to look for someone who takes care of their physical fitness, or you want to meet somebody who is worried about their faith and pays attention to their deen, for example. So you need to put them into columns and what's a need or a want for you. I've just given you some examples there.
We have some suggestions in the chat. The sisters mentioned someone who's well, she needs someone who's emotionally intelligent or has boundaries as well and will be a great father, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Excellent. Yeah. Love those.
Um, Also needs stability
Yeah.
and same profession as well.
Sometimes the same profession is good, but sometimes it's not because it really just depends on the person's personality. Um, and I think from like days gone by, elders, like I spoke to a doctor a few days ago that's working with us. So her grandparents were doctors, her parents are doctors, she's a doctor. So like the family of doctors, which can happen. But it's not necessarily when you marry somebody, that person's also a doctor. In my honest, genuine opinion, as long as that person's a professional, i.e. accountant, lawyer, engineer, whatever it is, someone who has worked really hard to establish themselves. But the main things, as the sister was saying, the guy has emotional intelligence, is somebody who values security, who wants to be best friend and wants to do things together, make decisions together, etc. For example, that might be someone's need. That way, that would then supersede their profession, in my honest opinion. Okay, let's move on to the next page. So these are the different stages where people are at when they're looking for a spouse. So if you have a quick read of this page, so you've got the intent stage, you've got the preparation stage, you've got the exploration stage, you've got the frustration stage, clarity stage, and decision stage. So yeah, on your pen and paper, if you can have a wee look at where you think you are. And again, if Sister Anna, if you wouldn't mind reading the comments for me, it's just easier for me to toggle through the presentation and the chats. And even if there are some questions or comments, please do fire them through, and that way I can respond to everybody with us today. So yeah, so just a bit more information about intent stage is that maybe someone's just finished their education and they think, let me think about getting married, but they haven't as of yet spoken to anybody, because obviously, especially with yourselves, you know, the medical degree is quite intense, involves a lot of study and a lot of time and a lot of training. So maybe you haven't had the time to have, you know, to actually have a look or meet anybody, or your family's not brought anybody forward as of yet. Preparation stage would be that I'm working on myself. So again, what you're doing today is working on yourself, going through your busy schedules just to take a little bit of time out to do this, to understand, okay, what it is that I need to do to work on myself, what is it that I really need, what kind of person is going to work for me, and having that preparation stage, because if you know the kind of questions you need answered in a conversation, even though they'll be answered, inshallah ta'ala, organically, it will be helpful because you'll have a comfort level thing. Actually, I get on with this person. We have things in common, as opposed to taking the long way around. You can actually get there in a much shorter way if you're prepared. Number 3 is the exploration stage. So I've started meeting potential matches, but nothing has clicked. So here's quite a tricky stage because maybe you haven't thought about what is it that you need, and nothing has clicked. So you know, we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we get further into the program, but we're going to be talking about this spark that everyone, this click, this spark that everyone keeps talking about. And in my opinion, this is Hollywood, Bollywood, and social media, because the click and spark are just as quick as lighting a match. and within 10 seconds, it's already gone out. So there's no way to go. You've got this big bright spark. Once that spark that lit has gone, how do you then sustain a 30, 40 years of marriage and the spark is gone? So definitely, I personally believe in the slow burn. So I think that's really important. So you might not click, you might not actually have the first two, three good conversations, but as you get to know the person and you relax around the person, you might see etiquettes, mannerisms, outlook that you actually admire. So you won't be able to see that, unfortunately. How it works in the Asian world is you have one meeting or two meetings and you're out, and it really doesn't give much of a chance for the person to see who you are, or the person you're talking to, for them to actually, you see a little bit more who they actually are. So we have a program here at Personal Match. So we'll be telling you more about that if there's something that you want to do, have a private matchmaking service to help you. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later on and what that entails as well. Frustration stage, I've been trying and I feel stuck or disappointed. I hear this a lot when people are using online, using WhatsApp groups, using Auntie G's, using speed dating, and all of the things that I've tried before. And the key component of being frustrated is the person is not screened and nobody knows this person's intent. Yeah, they put their name down, or their cousins put their name down, their mums put their name down, but nobody actually knows, is this person actually genuinely looking? So that can be highly frustrating. Whereas if you know you've gone through an application process and the people have gone through and got to the end and selected to work with us, they will be meeting other like-minded people, which just shortens the journey by far. Clarity stage, I know what I'm looking for and I'm actively moving towards it. It's a brilliant stage to be. This is where you know yourself, you know the type of personality you're looking for. You've already got your conversation plan organized of like what kind of things you want to ask and how intelligently you're going to ask them to make sure the person feels comfortable speaking to you. So therefore, you're going to get a lot more out of that chat as well. And the decision stage. So when you find someone and you're considering the next step, what are the things to figure out that actually, can this last? Will it last the test of time? Are we compatible? Because again, unfortunately, decision stage can sometimes just be as simple as I find her attractive or I find him attractive. But then the other side, anything they actually needed in that relationship wasn't fulfilled. You just assumed, okay, this part's sorted, the other things will unfold. And unfortunately, that it doesn't happen that way. Okay, cool. So we've gone through this.
So, Sister Naseem, we've got a few more suggestions on their list. So we
Okay.
have a few more suggestions, such as someone who's gentle, doesn't have a bad temper, charitable as well,
Yeah.
someone who needs God consciousness and wants kiyum.
Mhm.
And in terms of further, they want trust, support, religious respect as well,
Mhm.
and wants someone in the same culture, similar education, and shared vision as well. And we've got
Yeah.
a few suggestions on what stage they're at as well.
Excellent.
So we have a sister who says that they're on about two or three,
Okay.
and another who's possibly at age five. So they may have gone through all the frustration stage, clarity stage.
Okay. Wow, mashallah, that's great. So this is like a good note to yourself just to understand where am I, because a lot of people are at the intent stage and parents are saying, oh, what about this chap here, or what about this girl here, and you have no clue, like, who am I, what am I going to ask, is this person even compatible, because you haven't gone through the different stages to be able to understand. So hopefully you found this little exercise helpful. Okay, so learning how to navigate your search for a positive outcome. So when you know and understand what are the best ways to approach meeting people, and processing your thoughts and feelings become an awful lot easier. So you want the journey to be much easier to go through and to be faster as well, because obviously you guys have obviously gone through a lot of study, many, many years. Now it's come to the point where actually you want to get married, have your family. So it's like, how do we fulfill that part of life as well? Okay, so number one is your mindset. So how can a fixed mindset affect your search for a partner? So I've done quite a few of these courses recently in the past few weeks. And actually, when I've gone through the questions on one-to-one with some of the people that are going through application with me, they actually don't realize, even though they're highly educated, they've like spent a lot of time in the gym, take care of themselves, have like paid attention to many aspects of their life, they don't realize that they have a fixed mindset. So this can come through um your parents, your grandparents, or friends that you hang out with, and you just think it's normal. Like we all think like this. But it can be some things that you have, like for example, Sister Anne was mentioning, I'm a doctor, so I'd like to marry a doctor. And great if the doctor's compatible. But if you have this mindset that only a doctor is going to work and another profession wouldn't, that's a type of fixed mindset, because you'll then be searching to try and to narrow your chances of only finding a doctor, for example, to find a match. Whereas if you speak to a number of different professionals and you actually find the emotional intelligence is there, the kindness is there, the charitable is there, and naturally you can speak for a good bit of time, and you remain interested, you're actually not zoning out of the conversation. These are the kind of early telltale signs that this person is on a similar page to you. So if you have a fixed mindset, you do tend to eliminate good matches who don't fit your exact mold. So you've got this exact mold and you don't realize you're doing this, but you may eliminate somebody who's actually really good for you. And the next part is you expect an instant connection and dismiss matches too quickly. This is very, very common because everyone's like, oh yeah, the click, the spark, the connection, it's not there. So okay, let's move on. And they actually haven't given this person 2 or 3 conversations to figure out, like maybe they're nervous, maybe they had a fight with their boss, maybe they're just not feeling well today. There could be a number of reasons why they're quiet and reserved, but they have to be on point, on the ball on that first conversation. And it's not just in the Asian world. I hear this in like I speak with other matchmakers who are Jewish and Christian and other faiths, and it's a common thing where there's a lot of people that will just get dismissed instantly because they weren't able to grasp the other person's attention straight away. And you miss growth opportunities and repeat the same sort of relationship patterns. So you want to get out of that and think, right, okay, let me meet this person once, twice, even 3 times. Okay, what did I learn each time I spoke to this person? Okay, so now I'm sure after like 3 or 4 chats that we're not compatible, because I'm basing that now on knowledge rather than just basing it on a first conversation without giving that person a chance. Or I could get to conversation 3 and 4 and think, actually, my first impressions were wrong about this person. Now that they're relaxed and they're telling me what's going on in their life, and they're understanding what they need in life, they have a vision, and it's much easier for them to see, okay, this person's compatible with me because I'm the type of person that likes XYZ. So maybe I like to be organized, or I like to do things on time, or, I use faith as my guiding point. So did this person. How cool is that? That they actually think the way that I think. But it is a missed opportunity if you don't actually extend those conversations and try and figure that out. So what can you do to combat this? So give matches more than one chance, as I've just spoken. So, my advice would be to speak to someone at least 3 or 4 times minimum. And that way, for definite it's going forward in a good way. So this could be a yes, or actually over the 3 or 4 conversations, it's either falling behind, or I'm losing interest, or I feel over these 3 or 4 conversations were actually very different. So there you've got a valid reason to step away from that communication. Recognize triggers from past experiences. This is something not everybody recognizes, but there could be some things, like, for example, I spoke to someone today and she's like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to meet someone that's got children, because I don't want to be pressured into having children, and I know I'm older, maybe I can't have children. And she's just thinking like a single person. And I said, but fast forward life, let's say you're married to your dream man and you're getting on really well, everything's going good, and you're comfortable, calm, and this is a good relationship. And he's saying, I would really like to try. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides if a child's going to come along or not. Would you then consider, or would you not? She goes, no, that's a situation that'd be a comfortable situation. And if Allah Ta'ala was, had written that for me, absolutely. So, but her first thoughts were, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do IVF. I don't want to do this. What about my age? When she's no idea, and I explained to her, said, look, my parents had me at 45. My mom was 45 when I was born. I'm the last born of 9 kids. And, I don't think they expected me to come along, but here I am. So I'm the youngest of everybody. So, obviously you guys are working in the world of medicine. I'm sure you've heard plenty of stories of people that didn't expect to have a child and they do. And then there's a lot of people that are young and they're looking to have family and they don't. So this is definitely qadr of Allah. But following what's written for you and giving things a chance, I think is definitely important. And in your communication, it'd be really good if you can pop a message in the chat on this one. So do you honestly think that when you are communicating someone, you're focusing on progress or are you focusing on perfection? So if you're true to yourself, that's a question to ask yourself. And unfortunately, there's a lot of fantasy attached to getting married. So even from, you know, a young girl, age 5, she's dreaming about when I grow up and I meet my Prince Charming and I'm going to wear my pretty dress and I'm going to walk down the aisle and it's going to be like this because that's her dream from when she's been a young girl. And it's not like she shouldn't have it. But what does that dream look like and what does actually reality in terms of who I'm going to choose? So rather than thinking just about the wedding day and how magical it's all going to be, what about after the wedding day? What about the rest of your life in terms of who's going to stand side by side, who's going to be there through problems and trouble, who's going to be there when you're going through difficulty, and that's completely detached from the fantasy as well. So, Sister Amra, let me know if anybody's put any comments around those points. It'd be really interesting to hear.
Nothing yet, but those are really important points, actually. You've really hit the nail on the head. When people have like fixed mindsets, it actually reduces your list from the word go. From my perception and, going through the process as well, it's always good to have a bigger list and narrow based on the person. Do it, flip it the other way around as well. We do have a comment to say that perfection can never be achieved. Someone said, successful marriage is about accepting characteristics and also able to adapt as well. Good point.
Definitely, definitely. And if you're already somebody that adapts to different situations, you already kind of know that that's something that you can do. And if you look at my squiggly line here, so you've got a starting point and all this mumble jumble in the middle and then a line as well. And this middle part is how do you select if you haven't got clear guidelines on what you're looking for. So the line should be just a straight line. But this is your reality line of how people think of so many things. So is he older or is he 6 months younger? Or, so he works in this job or he lives over here in this city or I'm looking for someone taller or, what about this? Or, maybe he's not Pakistani and they're all confused in all these different directions that you end up in. So if for example, I'm 28 years old, I've thought about it. I don't mind somebody from any race, any background is good for me because all of my family speak English, so it doesn't matter. I'll be able to communicate with everybody. And yet, as long as he's a professional, and then my 3 main things is someone with integrity, someone who's generous, someone who's trying with their faith. Those are my top 3 sort of non-negotiables. If those are there, then, I'll compromise on other things. So if you have your line sorted out with what you can and can't accept in a broader way, you'll find that you'll give more people a chance. You'll be interested in more people and you'll give a really good conversation to more people genuinely looking as well. Okay, so a problematic tendency in people with fixed mindset is that they do expect everything good to happen naturally and automatically. So I spoke to a lady 43 today, and she's laughing and smiling away with me. And she was like, my parents have been saying to me for years, oh, hun, like, shall we get you a rishta? Like, we know these good people. And I'm like, no, Dad, I want to meet somebody organically. I want to meet somebody that's just like fits in with me and we just get on naturally and all of that. The world's a big place. I'm sure I'll bump into someone. And she goes, so I went from 23 to 33 to now 43. And yes, this naturally has not happened. So now I understand that, when matches were coming through my parents, maybe I should have given it a chance, but she didn't like the whole bringing in the tea and, being the fish in a goldfish bowl and all of that, how her parents wanted to do it. And she's looking back thinking, I did have a fixed mindset instead of going in and seeing if actually maybe I could have had a conversation with someone. Okay, so we're going to now talk about step two in understanding your emotions. So it can be draining when your emotions fluctuate through your search, and when you begin to become aware of it, allows you to go through with understanding. So if you understand what's happening to you, it's just another way of coping, I think. So hope and doubt can coexist. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, guys. If you want to put some information in the chat there, let me know what you think about hope and doubt, and do you think can coexist? So you might feel excited after meeting a match and suddenly doubtful the next day. This is an emotional swing, and it's common. Why is it common? Because marriage is a big decision, and it triggers both desire and fear. Am I making the right decision? Is this the right person? I quite like this person. I think we get on. So then you end up being confused.com because you're like, which way should I be going? So hope and doubt can coexist. And the trigger for desire and fear is definitely a real thing. So if anybody's got any comments on that, I would welcome them. Please do share your thoughts and feelings on that. And it can stir up old wounds. So people that have maybe had conversations in the past, or rishas came through family, or they've met someone, think actually potentially this person could be a good match for me, but then the receptiveness nature of searching can cause you to remember past experiences. Or what if he ghosts me like the last guy did? Or maybe that's not his real picture. Is he catfishing me? Or maybe that's not the job he does. He's telling me he's got this job, but maybe that's not his job because the last person lied to me. So all this can stir up old wounds, and it can be quite painful as well. And the one that's really common in my environment is emotional fatigue. I think emotional fatigue is real. Constant introductions, small talk, and emotional investment can feel really draining at times. So this doesn't mean you're weak. It just means you're human and you're not alone. This is something that happens to a lot of people in many different situations. So how we help you combat that is take a break. Take a 2-3 natural break, go off, spend some time with friends, family, do something else, and just switch off just for a few weeks. Some people go off for, months and years, and they come back 5 years later because they just felt the emotional fatigue was real, and that's too long a break in my opinion. But a few weeks, maybe even up to 6 weeks is fine. Come back refreshed and think, right, okay, this is September, so let me try again towards the end of October or something like that. That's a nice little break, and plan weekends doing things with whatever you've got, holidays or weekend breaks or time with family, whatever you've got. So have something special planned every other weekend or any time that you've got off. So then you actually feel, okay, from the time that I was looking and I felt tired and fatigued, now I've had like 6 weeks of refresher, doing all these other things. And then like, okay, let me come back to the drawing board and let me try again. So yeah, do we have any comments so far, Sister?
There's an attendees suggested that it is exhausting. It could be that, oh, there's been another one as well. It's exhausting, and you don't want to be hurt really, and come down from the hope again and that repetitive feeling. And sometimes it just feels like the doubt becomes a standard. Someone's
Yeah,
mentioned.
okay. So that's different in our environment, Sister, whoever's made that comment, because the way that I work is I take everyone through 6 to 8 week to sometimes 10 week application process where I actually build a relationship and I get to know that person for real, on a real level. And I get to see who they are, what they want. And the biggest thing is they actually want to get married. So when you're out there speaking to people who have the potential wife hat on, but they actually haven't thought about it seriously. They're just going through the motions, so they might just be at the intent stage, and they're definitely very far away from the decision stage. It means in my environment, as you've gone through the premarital coaching, you're actually very close to the decision stage. So when you meet someone, you're meeting somebody else who also is interested. Like one of the young ladies, she's American, came in just recently to work with us, and she went for she had a couple of Zoom calls, and then she went for a coffee meeting with this guy, and she's like, it was a little bit overwhelming, but in a good way, in terms of he was like, look, I'm with Naseem Baji. You know how rigorous her application process is. I'm here to get married. So, inshallah, if we get on, the end result here is, I want to have my kids. I want to take care of my wife. She can work if she wants. She can stay home if she wants. Like there is like a process of working with us. So if a man says, look, I don't want my wife to work, and I need her to stay home, etc. Generally, my thought process is like, why would this person not want you to? Yes, I get it. If you're pregnant and your children are young or very young, and then maybe you'd want to take time before your child goes to nursery or school. And then yeah, what are you doing when your little one's gone off to nursery or school? You can then go back a few days and sit down and have a plan around that. So we do ask people like, what's your thought process behind that? And generally, mashallah, my environment is just like, you know what, I'm doing all right. So if she doesn't want to work, she doesn't need to work. Maybe she wants to work on some charity things or she's got other plans in life. But of course, we would be more interested in someone that says, look, if she's got a career and she wants supported in a career plan, I would definitely help her. So, we want to do this together as a family. So those are the men that we're interested in speaking to because we know that they're going to be very fair with their wives when it comes to looking at a professional life together as well. Okay, cool.
We have another comment where it says, I do get worried because sometimes family members will comment about me getting too old. It's hard because you don't just want to go with someone who you don't feel comfortable with that mindset of that long-term relationship. And they said that I do feel I have emotional fatigue
Yeah.
because if a suitor comes, they feel that their families understand, like puts them in that pressure, especially when it's exam period, of that feeling of, this suitor may go, so it's best to consider them now. So they feel a bit pressured.
Yeah, yeah, it's very, very difficult. And it's a tough one as well, and I think it's a very individual one. Some people can manage doing their studies and actually still having conversations, and some people are like, like I've spoken to a few people recently from different professions, and they're like, look, I just wanted to get my first year in or get my training year over, so that I could be fully focused on it. I just make a joke of it. There was one girl that actually spoke to me this week, and she goes, every wedding I go to, like, I'm so scared to go to this wedding because all the aunties are going to be like, why are you still single? And, I really don't want to have this conversation. And I said, you know what? It's better that by then she'd worked with me for about 2.5 months. And I said, so you're going to this wedding, how are you going to handle it? She goes, oh, I'm prepared. So any auntie that comes up to me and says, oh, Sadia, you're still single, I'd be like, yeah, auntie, you know what? You must know a ton of really nice guys. So because you know so many people, I'm just waiting for you to give my mum all these numbers of these really nice guys, and I'm going to meet them all. So you get those numbers across to my mum, auntie, just as soon as you can, and you'll see her run like the wind because she doesn't have anybody to pass on to you. So it's all about
That's
playing.
amazing. I've not heard that before, actually. That
Yeah,
is
you
actually
you, you just
amazing
say the
comeback.
aunties that don't do it. You have to just have to get smart and inventive about how you're going to handle these conversations. So yeah, and so she went in because she was traveling to America, and she goes, everyone's going to be there, my khalas, my chachis, my extended family, and that's always a topic. Because she was in her early 30s and still not married, and she goes, I'm going to use that with every single one. I am going to use that. And I'm like, okay. So she goes, now I'm looking forward to this wedding now because I was going to hide from all these aunties and comments and things. But no, definitely, I think that having courage of conviction for yourself and just having the belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to send the right person across to you, as long as you're mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually working on yourself, and understanding what questions you want to ask and understanding yourself better, then when you are, especially in an environment like us, you'll get opportunity to speak to other professionals who are actually seriously looking. So therefore, it's not, I'm going to put all this time and effort, and the emotional fatigue comes in where again and again and again the person's ghosted or disappeared or has all of a sudden realized they're not serious to settle down anymore. And that does happen. A lot of girls that I speak to will say, oh, when I said, we've been speaking for 3-4 months now, let's, would you like to meet my brother, or shall we get the mums to meet for a chai? And everything changes because now he's like, I'm safe where I am, I don't really want to meet family, I'm safe where it is, and this is the zone that I want to be in. But of course all he's doing is wasting her time. So it's about recognizing that, okay, you don't want to take it further. I would say don't let the conversation go past 3 months. By then you haven't really emotionally connected, you're still kind of chatting as friends. And if there's no sign of let's meet family, let's do anything, interested in what life would look like after marriage, like where would we live, what would we do, there's no plans in place, then that's a big red flag of knowing that this person is not interested. A chap that's talking to you saying, actually, I'm thinking that we should get like a property over here, or, so it'd be easy for you to get to work and blah, blah, blah. And, I'd love for you to meet my sister, or I'd love to do this and that. And there's plans in place for this person to involve you and include you in his life. If that's not happened in 3 months, it's unlikely to happen as well, guys. So keep a lookout for that. So
There's
what are
another question, sorry, about how can we deal with that constant pressure from parents?
you can kind of use the same approach really with parents as well and say, look, mom, dad, happy to meet anybody that you want to put forward. My requirements are this age group, these professions, this outlook. If you've got people in mind, please bring them. I'm happy to meet them. And just keep it civil. And unfortunately, most families, because of how the social structure works, like for example, I came from very long, very long time ago when people didn't work on the weekend, or they didn't work in the evenings. So on evenings and weekends, my mom would put me into a really nice dress and we'd go out for meals with different families and different things. And I thought all these people like were my khalas and my mamas and aunties and chachis and everything. And I'm like, wow, we've got a big family. And I used to think, how come like these like other people as well, because that was the how things went. And it wasn't until I turned 13, 14 that I realized that, I was told to say khala, I was told to say auntie to all these people, and they were all friends of my parents. So now those circle of friends are gone. The people that my parents knew, their circles, everybody's working 24/7, the social circles are gone. So where parents used to get these matches from was keeping in touch with social circles, because that's no longer there. That's like a challenge for parents. But yeah, even with parents, they say, look, can you get married, please? Definitely. Just say, absolutely, mom, dad, I want to get married. Just, introduce me to someone that you like. Um, and that's you giving them an answer. You're not running away from it. And yeah, if they do have somebody in mind, or they've asked around and there is somebody that's in their circles that you might be interested in chatting to, meet them. That there's the biggest thing I would say is anybody that's interested in meeting you, all conversations are education. Education, who you liked, what you liked about the person, what you didn't like about the person. Potentially, like maybe you saw a profile you looked really interesting, but then you had nothing in common when you spoke, or you looked at a profile that didn't look that interesting, but the person was actually really nice and engaging. So it's qadar where the connection is going to happen. But I think biggest advice I can give you is at least try and have one conversation minimum to say, what did I think about that person overall? Um, so emotions are often felt but not always understood. Experiencing emotions is your body's way of trying to reveal information to your consciousness. And the body stress response is similar to discomfort, but sometimes you're just outside your comfort zone and not uninterested. So when again families and parents and will say, why you're not looking at the shishta, what's wrong, blah blah blah. You're not interested. It's not that you're not interested. You might not even realize that you're outside your comfort zone. You feel a bit like what I'm going to talk about, I'm not sure if this person's right for me, or I feel a bit unsure, or just how it's done. If it's a tea coffee thing, sometimes is like, he comes along with his four brothers and his three sisters, and you're like, how are you supposed to have a chat with this whole audience there as well? Like, it's just how it's done sometimes. So it's all about just figuring out what's better for you. Say to your parents, I'm happy to meet for coffee, or, take a sibling along with you who sits in the back of the coffee shop, and take yourself away from all the noise and just have a conversation, and see if that's possible, because that'll be a much easier way to try and learn about somebody and understand somebody. So understanding why emotions matter in your search for a spouse. So in the search for a spouse, emotions are complex and layered. So you might confuse past pain with a present person, because again, you have that fear of commitment. You think, what if this person's just like the last person? And it's a normal human way of thinking. So you have to kind of fight that and say to yourself, well, actually, this is a new person. It's not the last person. And I'm not going to blame this person for the last person's mistake and compartmentalizing it that way. You might make a mistake and emotionally shut down. So if you're emotionally shut down, you think, I'm not interested. And it's really that you're not interested. You just have emotionally shut down. So therefore, taking a trip, taking time out and just maybe going for a long walk, clearing your head, just thinking about what's important and just giving your mind just to reset. Sometimes you might just need a long weekend away and you come back revitalized and okay, let me try again. Or the next person that comes along, I'm gonna try and be more open-minded in that conversation. And you might label uncertainty as a red flag. So you have a conversation, you think, yeah, I'm not sure if I like that person. But the main thing is you're uncertain, but you've just told yourself that's a red flag. So I'm going to walk away from it without actually understanding what do you really feel. And you might confuse peacefulness and contentment with lack of chemistry. So when you've got lack of chemistry in a first meeting, which is probably 99% of the time, then you're going to think, actually, this person, there's no chemistry, so I don't want to continue. Whereas you haven't given this person a chance to see, is the peacefulness and contentment there as well. So it's about sometimes coming out and, again, exactly what you're doing now, guys, writing things down as I'm speaking, thinking out loud about what is it, the experiences you've had and how you can combat some of these issues and look at them a lot more deeply, inshallah, as well. Overthinking is one of the biggest killers in the matching world. Overthinking, I think, affects about 70 to 80% of people out there. And how can overthinking affect your search? So yeah, please do put some comments in there for us as well to discuss if you have any questions on overthinking. So paralysis by analysis. So you might second guess every decision, whether to go out, meet someone, whether to say, how to interpret their tone, which can lead to missed opportunities or inaction. So you're going with your gut and thinking, I think this might mean this, or I think might mean that. But again, it's just a first meeting. You're analyzing that person on a first meeting. So definitely try and meet at least 3 times or 4 times, and then make a decision on those 4 meetings. You'll probably have a much more accurate answer for yourself. And misreading signals, because a lot of people can be overconfident, a lot of people can be shy, a lot of people can be reserved. They themselves might have had a bad experience the last time they spoke to someone, or you get the usual questions that people ask, which they shouldn't. And like the first one, people say, oh, how's your search going? And blah, blah, blah. Like, obviously clearly not very well because I'm sitting here talking to you. So, I'm like, why would you even ask that question? But so many people say, yeah, I get that. Asked a lot, like, how's your search going? Stuff like that. So it's the wrong signals that you're sending out. So obviously, clearly, if you're speaking to someone, you're seriously looking. So asking them how their search is going is definitely not a good way to go. Over analyzing small things like a pause in a message, has someone looked away? You think, oh, are they bored? Like they've looked at the watch or they looked out the window. They might just be thinking about what's the next thing that I can talk about. Because obviously you're meeting for the first time, the conversations might stop and start. You speaking to somebody you've never spoken to before. And potentially you could misjudge someone's intentions as well. Overcomplicating simple interactions as well. So you may try to figure out how this person really feels or what they really meant instead of just enjoying the conversation and just letting go of things and letting things develop naturally instead of thinking, right, he said this or she said that, so that must mean this. And you've got all this whole inner monologue going on inside you and there's no need, it just allow the person to show who they really are. And over a period of a few conversations, you won't have to guess. You'll know, okay, this person mentioned this a few times now, and that fits with what I want. Okay, so that makes me feel comfortable, etc. So yeah, just observing will take a lot of this anxiety away for you guys. So what else can happen when overthinking takes over? So when you overthink, unfortunately, you have unrealistic expectations. So overthinking can lead to creating mental checklists or idealized scenarios, making it difficult for any real person to meet those standards. It can increase anxiety and doubt. It feeds worry and fear of making the wrong choice. And this emotional weight can make the journey feel exhausting and unproductive. And it can block emotional connections. So when your mind is racing, it's hard to be fully present. You may struggle to connect emotionally because you're too focused on the what if this happens, what if that happens? Okay, yeah. And you're almost distracting yourself on that journey as well. So what's the solution? So my advice is to stay in motion, not perfection. So keep it going. have a conversation, have another conversation. And if you've got no real reason not to have the next conversation, have the conversation anyway. You've got nothing to lose. And I don't know how many people say to me, but I don't want to waste their time and I don't want to waste my time. It's got nothing to do with wasting time. The connection comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It might come in the first meeting, it might come at the 10th meeting. Very short story I can share with you is one of the girls that got matched a few years ago now. She was speaking to someone. So we normally recommend if nothing's moving by week 12, tell us, and we're just going to move you on to your next person. So she was chatting to her person for about 10 weeks. And she called me that day. She goes, Badge, I'm going to tell him today that I don't think that is going forward. I'm just going to close it down. I said, that's fine. If that's how you're feeling, just let me know how today goes and let's have a chat later on. So when she was leaving, her mom's like, well, your dad's car is the last car in the drive. I'm not moving all the cars. So just take your dad's car, and I'll let him know that you went out to do something for me, because that dad didn't know that she was meeting him again. Mom's like, no, please go get your questions answered. I need to know that you're comfortable with this decision. So when she got there to where she was going, she misjudged the handbrake. The car slid, smashed all the headlights in the front of the car. And she's like, oh my God, it's my dad's car. He doesn't even know I have it. And he just looked at her and said, oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. I can get that sorted. It was after 5 o'clock. He made one phone call. I said, look, I need a favor. I need someone to collect this car. I need it back in 3 hours. And basically got her car headlights put back in, resprayed. It came back brand new in 3 hours. And he took her for dinner. So in that time, they were having a chat, and he just said, look, I know that today's the last day you're going to be speaking to me. I've got a good feeling that for you, from my side, I'm definitely interested, but I see from your side, you're not. And that's okay. And so here's the keys to your dad's car, and just consider it a parting gift. And, I wish you all the best on your onward journey. He goes, but I will say one thing, that my dad set up his business in Pakistan with one staff member, and now he has 100 people that work for him. And basically, he's taught us to work hard and put things in place and always be responsible for our wives, for our kids and our family. So from a very young age, I would say from about 13, 14, my dad's always taught me to be financially responsible. Even back then, he gave me money and said, look, here's some money, set up a business. I want to see what you do with this. So he's always given us the tools to be able to help our families. And this thing today, just fixing your car, this is, for me, this is normal day to day. And if Allah Ta'ala, whoever Allah Ta'ala has written for me to get married to, I will always make sure that she's well taken care of. And then she began to think that actually in her own environment, her family are constantly sending money back home. She had to work hard and basically get her own things. She wasn't financially supported at home, and she actually realized that someone who wants to financially take care of her is a big deal. So when she called me on the way home, she was quite emotional, and she said, "Oh no, this and this happened today." But I went, "Wow!" I said, "That's amazing." So did you end it? I know that you were gonna, before you went, you were gonna just go and close down. She was actually, no. She was, I've been thinking about it. I'm gonna pray istikhara on it again. And by week 11, she had all his brothers and sisters and her brothers and sisters out for a barbecue. And by week 12, the parents had all met and they did a galbaki. And by week 12, she was engaged. At week 10, she was walking away. So this is all understanding is Allah Ta'ala's plan. Yeah. So anything can happen. Just keep your heart and mind open and allow someone to share how they really feel, and to give you a real understanding of what life will be like after marriage as well. So yeah, so solution, keep taking steps, meeting people, explore with curiosity. So go in with your curiosity hat and think, what's more about this person? Let me see what I can learn about this person. And with us at Personal Match, we give you a whole conversation plan that's tailored to you. So you can start asking questions to understand, is this person fit for me or not? So action comes, anxiety, clarity comes through, movement, not before it. Avoid crowdsourcing on every decision. Solutions, too many options cause confusion. So give one person a chance. If it's going to move forward, great. If it's not, move on to the next person. Other people's bad experience do not mean that yours will be. So I hear that all the time, this girl's in-laws are like this, or that's what happened to her. You've got to realize that Allah Ta'ala has got your own plan written for you. Yes, be smart with the decisions that you make, but it doesn't mean that someone else's bad experience is going to be your bad experience. This is the big one. Limit exposure to social media and endless options, because somebody could send you a message in the morning, another person sends you a message at lunchtime. By evening, you've got 6 messages, you don't even know who's who, and then you end up thinking, oh, I'm not going to message anybody back. And then that was it. You didn't take advantage of any of the options there at all. So solution is the illusion of infinite choices feeds overthinking. So quality over quantity will serve you better. Give one person a chance to make sure that you've done your due diligence on that one person. If you're meeting that person through us, we've already done the due diligence for you. And it just means you can just relax and have a chat and see how the conversation goes, inshallah. Let's me have a quick look at the time. How many more pages have we got? Got 3 more pages. Okay. So what is a common block, sorry, trapping people from meeting their life partner? So this is a fact. So many people subconsciously seek the perfect partner shaped by media culture or fear of failure. This can lead to rejecting compatible matches too quickly or endlessly searching. So it can put you in the stuck zone, basically. And the grass is greener. So how can this mentally affect you? So the inability to feel content with life. It's like the next thing is always better, the next thing is always bigger. Being overoccupied with the future instead of being in the present. So a lot of people, one of my favorite books is Don't Be Sad. And the author talks about look at the fresh bread that's on the table today, not yesterday's stale bread or tomorrow's anticipated bread. So living in the present will definitely help you understand, okay, who am I talking to today? Who is this person? Do I like this person? What questions do I want to ask this person that's in front of me today? Not the conversations I've had before, or maybe the conversations that are going to come tomorrow. Dissatisfied with life events, believing it's not enough, not appreciating good connections. I'm giving somebody a real chance. So what can you do? Recognize that everyone has flaws, even you. Your future partner will choose not to walk away due to your imperfections. You think, oh my goodness, because of this and that, I might not get matched. They might think that's really cute or really funny or really nice about you. You're putting your own opinions on yourself, not other people's opinions. Instead of fixating on what's missing, notice what's already there, and ask yourself, do I feel safe? Do I feel understood? Do I feel at ease with this person? These are really important questions to ask as you're going through your matching process. So 3 top tips on how to stay positive in your search. Reframe rejection as redirection. Very important. If you've not written down anything in today's seminar, write this one down. Reframe rejection as redirection. It's very important because your positive mindset will really help you and you understand that, okay, it's not rejection. I'm not a fit for him or she's not a fit for me. Absolutely fine. So rejection is not personal failure. See it as refinement, clarity, character and patience to be sharpened. Surround yourself with supporters and positive and grounded people. So avoid hanging out with people who are always going to say the wrong things to you, and you're always going to leave with your chin dragging the ground, like with this people who unfortunately happen to have a negative outlook on life. So avoid cynicism or constantly people who just are happy to share negative stories all the time, horror stories about marriage and in-laws. Just please stay away. And take breaks intentionally. So we started off with that at the beginning. Take a short pause, take a few weeks, 4 to 6 weeks when things get overwhelming and you do have fatigue in all of this, and just give yourself that reset and that refresh as well. And it's a wrap. So thank you very much, everyone, for going through today's program and going through Single to Married with us. I hope you find it really useful. So what I'm going to do is open up the floor to some questions. So if you want to see if anybody in the chat's got any questions. In the interim, I'll tell you a little bit more about personal.
We have many questions, so it'd be nice
Okay,
to go through them, inshallah.
okay, let's go through them.
So someone's asked, so where would you recommend meeting people? These apps are not very serious, and it looks like it's like finding like a needle in a haystack.
So that's why I'm here. So I will say, pick me. So yeah, so I was about to say, yeah, personal match, we've been running for 25 years, 10 years as volunteers, 15 years as professionals, and we do take all the headache away for you. So is this whether it's a sister looking to get married or a brother looking to get married, we will make sure you're well taken care of. You've got like a step-by-step program to go to, and everything's tailored for you. So once we know who you are, what you're looking for, we will present you with people who are actually serious. So at this current point in time, I'm interviewing maybe about 300 people, and we pick one out of 300 people. So you're not having to do the filtering yourself. You can come into our environment and we do the filtering for you guys. And I'm sure Amna would have already mentioned we're partners with Bima. So if you guys want to come along, there are some special offers running to work with us as well. So yeah, so it's something that comes along with today's webinar as well, guys. So yeah, sorry. Any further questions?
Overthinking? Overthinking. How do you overcome decision paralysis?
So it's actually thinking about what's important to you. So if you put your 3 steps in place that you need, so for example, someone was saying earlier on, so emotional intelligence, generosity, someone who's focused on Deen. So if you focus on the things that you're looking for, rather than focusing on the part of your brain that just goes to default. Human default is always negativity. So that's just basically shaitan messing about with our head. So you have to put yourself into a positive mindset. I'm sure as medical doctors, you guys know, and I'm sure you tell your patients is part of your recovery is your mental health. So if you can think positively and think actually there are good people out there, my good person is out there, it will happen at the right time. What am I looking for? These are my top 3 things. So what questions can I write down that I can ask that's gonna make me feel good about myself? Understand if this person's a good match for me, write down 3 questions around your top 3 things, and that will definitely help you steer away from negative thoughts for sure.
Sister Nessie, we've come to an hour. Are you happy to continue with the questions? We have quite a few actually.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
I'm all
Okay. If
ears.
everyone's willing to stick around, please feel free
Okay.
to stay
No
with
worries.
us until the end, inshallah. The next question, how do you know if you're really ready to get married from a spiritual perspective?
Um, Spiritual perspective, I think it's just where you are on your journey, and everyone's at a different stage in their journey. So we're not here to judge anyone. Someone could be doing 1 prayer a day, someone could be doing 5 prayers a day. It's not about measuring your actions. But I do think that if you're looking to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the core of your life, and you think that I want to make decisions around pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's definitely when you're in a place to say, actually, I want to get married because I want to serve. So it's not about check boxes or tick boxes. I want to serve and I want to earn my place in Jannah. So when you get to that stage, definitely you're in a place where you're ready to get married and you've actually understood the concept of marriage at a very good level.
That's really good advice. Further on, how would you figure out if someone has malicious intent for you, even after meeting for a few times? As sometimes people can be narcissistic and hide things very well.
I think you know what, istikhara is like such an important thing. And your gut feeling, I'll give you a very short example. Just before I came to Dubai, I was parking up my car to do my click and collect to pick up food, and something really stopping me from going into this parking spot. So I indicated and I stopped. I'm like, why don't I want to park there? Like, it's just a strong gut feeling. I didn't want to park there. And someone was tooting from behind. I'm like, I'll have to move now. So I pulled into that spot, and immediately a big pole came and stuck into the side of my car. And I knew something was wrong. I knew something was going to happen that wasn't good. And I didn't know what it was. So that's your gut feeling. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling you there's a little warning sign there. So if your gut feeling is not comfortable and this person has malicious intent, then you will be able to realize that. Definitely couple it with istikhara, but you've got your key intentions there to say, you know, what when you know who's looking for something, who's seriously settling down, it's just a whole different feeling. The calmness, like I was meaning when we did in the course today, when I said you could be speaking to someone for 3 months, not once have they mentioned, shall we meet family? Not once have they said, look, if we get married, life will look like this. Not once have they said, these are the things I'm looking for in my wife, or these are the things I'm looking for in my husband. All of these things point to this person wasting your time. So if the intent isn't growing in that conversation, and in 3 months and 90 days, the needle hasn't moved at all, then you need to step out of that situation.
Next question, how do you figure out if a girl's mum is over involved and is very controlling, as often this is concealed until after marriage.
It is, yeah. So how you would figure this out is, again, you'd have your normal conversations to begin with. Once you've built up a bit of connection and you've built up a bit of trust, then you would give scenario-based questions. So if it was our anniversary and a bunch of people came to the door, and like we're in our, dressed up top to toe, we've got this Michelin star restaurant booked, we've got our whole evening planned, but then, we've got this a family come to the door, whether it's your family, my family, what do we do? So what's the options? Do we just tell them at the door that we're ready to step out? Bye-bye. Or do we say, actually, come in and we'll move our table for an hour. Let's have some cake and tea. Or let's just sit together. Let's pop into the kitchen, say, look, let's book for another night. Everyone's here. Let's spend the night with family. So you want to know what is their answer over a period. So I've got these cards called Sukoon cards, and they're scenario-based cards, and they're questions on how to understand and innocently ask questions. And if your gut feeling is, oh, I don't like that answer, that's not for me, over a period of questions, then you're talking to the wrong person. However, if somebody's saying over a period of time of questions that actually that's all making sense to me, then you are talking to somebody who's genuinely interested in marrying you. So I would definitely say do some scenario-based questions and see and put them in, like, in your opinion, what do you think about this? So put them in randomly here and there, so they're like not almost preparing for them and trying to give you like staged answers. So yeah, I would definitely slip them in here and there just to understand, is this person on the same page as me or not?
That's a really good tip, actually. I've not heard of that before, scenario-based questions during this process. Another question, how do you manage family expectations, which may only allow one or two meetings?
Oh, that's a tough one. I always find that really hard. Because obviously in days gone by, you had like your 10 minutes. And I think in the Bengali culture, it's rife. Like every Bengali girl I speak to, she can only speak once or twice and she has to say yes. And I'm like, another one, like you have to say yes in two chats. Um, I think the only way for it is to pray istikhara, and if you're on the side of yes, say yes and get to know. You're not getting married at that point, and just allow yourself to get to know. And if you really have gotten to know and understood this person's not for you, then just vocalize and say, actually, initially I thought this person was great, we were getting on fine, but now XYZ's come up and I don't feel so comfortable. And just be brave enough to know that you might have to exit out.
Okay. Do you work with people from different nationalities?
Yes, we do. As long as you're Muslim, we work with any Muslim, and that's our USP. And because our process is halal end to end, so as long as you're Muslim, yeah, we're happy to work with you.
Also, feedback from previous conversations has been that a brother has felt intimidated during initial meeting. What could this mean for me and for him?
Okay, so I think without realizing it sometimes, I do get that from some sisters that, I've worked really hard, I've got to where I am, I'm here, I'm doing this, and quite rightly so, they've worked really hard to get to where they are. But I think in my environment, we encourage you, just don't talk about it. Just talk about your faith, talk about your family, talk about the last trip to Snowdon or whatever you went. But stay away from your work stuff and where you're at with your work stuff, especially in the first few conversations, because once a person knows you, they'll know that you're passionate about your work and you're not wearing your work as a badge to say, well, I'm a doctor, that makes me better than you, and blah blah blah. And they put two and two together and make 10. Like, that's not your intention, but that's maybe how it's perceived. So I would definitely stick to the first 3 to 4 conversations. Keep the conversations natural, light. Observe. Look at their person, look at how they're treating you, what they're talking about, what their body language is, how are you feeling, praise, sakara, all these things. And you don't need to talk about, I think one of the conversations that we had on the profile, obviously they both saw that one was a lawyer, one was a doctor, whatever. And the conversation about work, I said to her, purposely don't bring it up until meeting 4 or 5. By then they were very comfortable with each other, and then naturally, that organically, they spoke about what was going on at work, and she was talking about what was going on at work in the conversation. But purposely, I told them don't bring it in the first few conversation because I knew their personalities, and I thought this is what's gonna she's gonna think, oh yeah, he thinks he's some kind of hot shot and blah blah, and then that's it. It's gone when that match could have been really a really good match. So yeah, I think if you use a different approach to communication, and genuinely, as you get to know somebody on meeting 4 or 5, you'll be a bit more relaxed. Say, look, actually, mashallah tabarakal, I'm very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He's put me in this position of being able to help and heal and support people through difficult times, and talk about your occupation. Like, for example, me, I get to help so many people go through heartache and different times, difficult times. Um, I have virtual tissues in every conversation that I speak to. And I was actually met somebody here in Dubai a few days ago, and she's like, "You're good," and she started crying in the middle of a conversation. And I'm like, "I'm not coaching the scene right now. I'm just here to have a chat." But she's like, "Oh, this is going on in my life," and she goes, "You're just so easy to talk to. Like I can tell you everything." I'm like, "Okay, mashallah, bless." But yeah, so when you find that place of comfort, that person is not judging, and the flip side to that is if somebody does feel threatened by you, that's their problem. That's not your problem. So it's not a me problem, it's a them problem. And as long as you've been conscious about not really going to talk about my work and not really going to, talk about like what I earn or what I do or too much into like my day, maybe casually, oh yeah, today's been quite good or today's been quite busy. Lightly, that's fine. And if he's threatened by that, it's definitely his problem, not yours.
That's a good tip, actually. So I feel like, next question. How do you manage situations where one doesn't have any supportive family? And this is asking from a female perspective. So if they've got no female or no support in the process, what advice is there for them?
Okay, so can I ask that in context, like in terms of their parents don't want them to get married or they're not being supported looking for a spouse? Can I get more context to that, please?
It could be that maybe they seem like they're alone in the whole process. So from start to finish, they're doing it by themselves. So possibly they need that support structure potentially.
Yeah, so then we would be a perfect fit for them, because then basically we become your surrogate family as you go through the process. Because it can take 6 months, 9 months, a year to find someone, and you've had somebody every week to talk to and talk about what's going on in your heart and your mind and any problems and issues that you've got. You'll be in a non-judgmental environment. I work with a lot of sisters who have lost their mom, and they see me as an older sister or a mom to them, and they just have that comfort of, okay, so he said this, shall I meet him again? What happened? Like, oh, I don't know. Do you think I should meet him again? I said, absolutely. He said you were fantastic. Love the chat. I said this and that. So we're middle people because we can give honest feedback. It means that there's no guesswork. Usually you have a meeting, you've no idea what the other person thinks, and you're just making up your own conclusions in your head. So definitely if you're alone or your parents don't have the matches for you that they would ideally want to have, then coming into a private service where you're taken care of, you're not online, your picture's not online, your number's not online, nobody knows that you're with us, everything is 110% confidential. It just means that the person you're meeting on the day that they're going to meet you, they get to know your first name and that's it. They can't Google you, they can't find you. It's just a very safe way of finding a spouse.
Do you work with divorcees?
Mhm. We work with single parents, we work with divorcees, widows, widowers. Yeah.
How do you make the whole matchmaking process seem so natural rather than artificial?
So we take you through a discovery process, and it's basically just a very relaxed chat. We don't ask any heavy questions, and we just naturally get to know you. We ask your opinion on different things. We ask a little bit about your journey so far. We offer advice based on like your own particular journey and how we can make things easier. We offer you to meet people that we think are more in line with what you're looking for, based on knowledge of you, as opposed to, just random checking profiles and random matches. Anybody that you are getting to meet is actually well thought. A lot of time and effort's gone in, a lot of research has gone in the background before we recommend you to meet someone.
How do you know if you're really ready to get married from a spiritual perspective?
Um, Back to the same question that I answered earlier on is if you know that your aim is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at the core of your life and nothing supersedes that, it means spiritually you are ready because a single person gets one reward and a married couple gets two rewards for the same thing. So if you're married, for any charity that you give or a good deed that you do or anybody that you help, you get two rewards because it's much harder to be married than it is to be single. When you're single, you suit yourself and do your own thing. But if you're married, you have to work with someone to make sure that they're happy with you, you're happy with them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you double the reward of any deeds that you do. Sorry, darling, you've gone on
Oh,
mute. I
sorry.
do apologize.
What if parents insist on a certain suitor?
That's a tough one, isn't it? Because your parents are your parents. It's definitely a tough one. If you have an elder like a mamu or a khala that you can talk to privately, and then just get them to say that, who this person is, isn't a fit, and maybe could they put a word in to say that, to say to your parents that, they also think it wouldn't work, and then kind of support your corner, whether it's, an uncle that gets on really well with your dad or an auntie that your mum knows really well, go and have a private chat as long as you trust them and just get another adult on board because two adults together will definitely, rather than one person, oh, we think this is a great idea. But then when another adult comes that respects, they'll think, no, but have you looked at it from this point of view? She might not like him or he might not like her because of this. Then that gives you like another person in your corner, inshallah.
Okay, now I'm going through the chat as well now. So in terms of it's hard to overthink when you've been trained for like many years that you're not attractive, you've got lowest self-esteem. Just thinking, just some advice really for this person, just to take them out of that. What's their first step to have
Um,
opportunities?
I think coming into our discovery program would be really good for this person because we build up your confidence. We get you to believe in yourself again. We let you know, like, these are the qualities that we see in you. These are the qualities that you would get chosen for from a professional perspective. Why a spouse would want to marry you because of X, Y, Z. This is what we've seen. And so today, I did an application for a 43-year-old TV presenter, really pretty, really intelligent, has a law degree, all of that. And she's like, I don't know why nobody wants to match with me. I don't know why I'm not getting married, and when she's gone through the program, so today would have been like a seventh or eighth session with me. And I said, you know what? You are the kindest person on two legs that I've met. You have like an open mind and open heart with all these different things that I've asked you and you've explained. You're definitely giving your partner um, a, a place of comfort. You're definitely giving that a non-judgmental environment, and you're definitely somebody who's going to really willing to try to make that relationship work. And she goes, oh, I didn't know these things about myself. I mean, yeah, this is the analysis of you spending 2 months with me. So she had a glowing face. She had a big smile on her because she came looking quite grey and quite dull and quite battered down with the world. But over the weeks, I've seen her smiling and joking and learning different things. And she's always like, oh, I always look forward to Tuesdays. I get to meet you and we go through like different things. I always have so many questions for you. And, I love the answers and I actually genuinely feeling a lot more confident. I feel hopeful that somebody good is going to be around the corner, and I feel ready because I've got all these questions now I can ask that reflect my personality. So if you're stuck and you're struggling, definitely having professional support is a really good way to go.
Okay, and I think we've got another question following on from your question about, asking relatives. I think if parents insist on one suitor, then you suggested to ask relatives. What if you have no other relatives around? What would you suggest? Would it be friends and family or neighbors or people
You
you
have,
know?
you have my number, I'll talk to them. Take my number. I don't
Jazakallah khair.
I don't mind talking to parents. I do it all the time.
Jazakallah khair. We've got further questions coming through, so inshallah you can stay with us.
Yeah, I'm fine. Fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I,
Someone's
that's my
asking.
Ribena is keeping me awake, so we're
I
good.
know it's really late in Dubai. I know.
Right.
Jazakallah khair. So someone's suggested that they're unsure about their personality type and if that's important. They are
Mm,
an extrovert and
mm,
wonder whether they should go with an opposite. and they wonder whether if, someone similar could be someone, would be annoying in that respect. So from your experience, what would you advise?
Um, it really just depends. I think most people levitate to someone with energy. So if you have energy, um, I think that you're more attracted to someone who's got energy as well because you can pick up the vibe. And I think that that generally does work. But again, over a period of time, you can see, will they listen to me? Will I listen to them? But yeah, and it can be that, like, for example, with women, they tend to be more chatty. With men, they'll say what they have to say and they can be a little bit more quiet. And they like to make their point and say, right, okay, that's all I want to say on that. So it just depends on your nature and your personality. So yeah, I would say women tend to be chatty and men just say what they need to say, and they'll probably be more of the listeners. And I think with the amount of matches that we've done, there's a lot of women that are attracted to that. I like to talk, he likes to listen. It's good for us. It works for us. So yeah.
That's a good comment. Just like, okay. Someone's asked, do you have your services up in Northeast? So I presume that's UK.
Yeah, so we're UK wide and now Dubai wide as well.
Sure. Just personal question, really. Do you match the Dubai suitees with the UK suitees, or is that just a personal preference?
We do. We do. I'm
Okay.
actually going to meet somebody this week, one of my couples that got married 3 years ago now. And she's from London, a doctor from London, and he's a investment guy from here from Dubai. And she just recently had a baby boy. They already have a baby daughter, so they have two kids now. So yeah, they're here in Jan. So I'm gonna pop and see them for coffee before I come home. So yeah, we've done a few London Dubai matches.
We have a few questions about costs. I'm not sure whether you go over it today or whether you will share details later.
Yeah, no, I think Sarah has the list that's specifically that's highly discounted packages for BIMA members. So I'm not sure how it's going to work in terms of people showing interest. I know there's some chats in the thing here, and they're mostly questions. So I think what would be good is if you want to private message me, basically, and just leave your name and number. Just if you leave the chat open for me, Amina. And what I'll do is I'll drop you a text message to anybody that has. And of course, we have our own way of communicating. I'll follow that up with you guys as well. So if anybody is interested, you do have a free consultation. Normally the consultation is 500 dirhams. But for you guys being BIMA members, it's completely free. So if you want to go through the consultation, you can do that free of cost. And from there, once we have a look, because obviously we don't know who you're going to match with and what packages we can offer until the whole application is done, which will take probably between 6 and 8 weeks to go through now. So it's a lot more intensive than it used to be. So if you guys are interested in a free consultation, just leave your name and number, send it me privately. I'm happy to book you in for a chat, and then we can take it from there. But in terms of the prices, Sarah will be dealing with that because we gave the prices across to her as well. Yeah.
Okay, so that means we'll share it with our registries, inshallah, and those who want to take it.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think
So
that's all of the questions so far.
yeah.
I definitely have learned something, even though I've gone through the process and I'm assisting others. I definitely have learned some new tips here. So inshallah, our attendees have learned something today as well, and found that new sort of drive to take that step forward, inshallah. Yeah, if there's any further questions, feel free to answer or put them through in the chat and the Q&A section. Um, yeah, so privately, people are actually sharing their details, so I'll pass that on, inshallah. Feel free to continue to do that, or stick around until we leave. But yeah, jazakallah khair for attending.